Welcome to the Spirit in Mind broadcast with your hosts, Bishop C. Guy Robinson and Dr. Jonathan Shepard, where we explore faith and mental health perspectives on current affairs. Let's get into today's discussion with the Spirit in Mind.
Well, hello everyone. Happy New Year and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss current affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I'm Bishop Guy Robinson, and I count it a blessing to once again be with you for this time that we share together as Spirit in Mind. Grateful to have a colleague and co-host with us, Dr. Jonathan Shepard. Dr. Shepard, hello.
Hey, Bishop, and hello to our listening audience, and Happy New Year, Happy 2024 to everyone out there.
Absolutely. We pray that your new year has begun in a blessed way, and we are looking forward to the conversation today. Would you please let someone know that it is time for Spirit in Mind? You can join us, be a part of our experience today, multiple ways. We're streaming, so let someone know or share it, or let someone know that we are live now, or you can call in to the Praise 106 studios right here in the studio, be a part of our conversation at 443-380-2803. Did you catch it? Here it is, 443-380-2803. You can call in and be a part of our Spirit and Mind conversation as we discuss another topic that we have to kick off this new year. We're continuing subject, but Dr. Shep is going to bring us up to speed on how you can stay connected, and then we're going to begin to discuss our topic for today. Dr. Shepard.
Absolutely. And so thank you all again for those who are continuing to listen every week. And I am appreciating it, part of your routine. And so we want you to know that we are also taking time to make sure that we come prepared every Saturday at 1 p.m. Join us either via social media or, of course, live here on the radio station 106.1 FM. And please continue to go to Bishop C. Guy Robinson social media pages. You can go to his Facebook page, C. Guy Robinson Ministries, or CGR Ministries. There we go, CGR Ministries. And you can go and see all the various things that are going on within Bishop's life and within his professional and academic career, and even on his pastoral pages, where he is the pastor of the Tabernacle of the Lord Church, 2100 West Baltimore Street, and he will do you some good. That's a wonderful church over there. And please, let's encourage and continue to lift up all pastors and even teachers, as Bishop is both, and even an author too. And so make sure that you continue to support him in all those endeavors. And then if you're in need of direct care services, you can reach out to me, drjonathanshepard.com. And so appreciative. Almost each week, Bishop, I'm getting messages where people are in need of either direct care services or just a reference where they can go to be able to get help. And we want people to know there is no shame in asking for help. And so Spirit and Mind is here. That is the purpose of our being here every week, to make sure that we are providing that assistance as we are going through perilous times. We're so thankful that God has provided this platform for us to encourage the people of God.
Absolutely. We thank God for connection, and thank you to those who are streaming as well, or part of our streaming Spirit in Mind experience. We're grateful for all of these ways to be connected. So listen, we've been talking for a good little while now, but it's still been relevant, especially now as we have transitioned into a new calendar year. We've been talking about transitions, and this is a season of transition and a form of transition in chronology, of course. There's chronos and there's kairos in theology. There's God's time, and then there's calendar time. But certainly on our calendar, we have transitioned into a new season. And so, continuing that, we want to, I'll open up with Hebrews 11 and read verses 8 up through 11, maybe 8 through 10. It says, by faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he would receive as an inheritance. As he went out, not knowing where he was going, by faith he dwelt in the land of promise, as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. And I'm just going to stop right there because that is a tremendous season of transition right there in Hebrews account of the Abrahamic experience, Hebrews 11, 8 through 10, 8 through 9 rather. And so we want to talk about transitioning into new places, literally or metaphorically. Transitioning as we transition now into a new year, we're going to talk about transitioning into new places, geographically, ideologically, spiritually, relationally, transitioning into new places. And Dr. Shepherd is going to take us further in our conversation.
Absolutely. And so we are so thankful for everyone who has participated in our series last quarter where we talked about transitions. And I believe that because we were talking about it so much, Bishop, I had to go through my own transitions. It seemed like it was my season for transitions, even up until December 31st. And I tell you, with this new series that we are walking into, it is called Living in the New Place. So we have now transitioned. We have now moved from the whether it be familiar or unfamiliar, or either the growth zone. But now we're going to talk about living in the new place. And so I'm excited about this as we are making this transition. So please, you can even call us right now and talk about some of the changes that you may have went through. Even on last year, we would love to hear what some of your goals are as you are moving into that new place. The number 443-380-2803. And so, Bishop, I'm just starting because, and some of those who have watched and listened know that I am working in DC, and as my position affords, I must live or have a residence within the District of Columbia. And anybody who knows the market is very different in Baltimore versus the District of Columbia, much more expensive. And so as you are even researching, I was researching from this transition, moving, now I'm ready to settle into a new place. And I really look at what those things are that are necessary when you move into a new place. And I'm going to share with you, again, I'm very vulnerable, transparent as possible. And I just want you to hear just some real life examples. So, when I moved into even my current home in Maryland, it took patience. It took patience. It took patience and it took rest. One of the things that I recognize is that as I moved into the new place, and I was so excited about moving into the new place, that I had not taken time to be able to enjoy the actual physical building that I was not able to be in. And many of us, when we go through our time of transition, we are tired. And so we get in, we're like, oh my God, I got to get this. I got to get this for the bathroom. I got to get this for my bedroom. I got to get this for the living room. It has to be this color. I got to have this type of rug. I got to have this type of drapery or whatever they call it now, curtains or window treatment. I think that's what they call it now. And we get so excited about the various things once we get to that place that we forget about. We need to take some time to rest, because as you've gone through that time of transition, you need to recoup, you need to settle yourself so that you can make some wise decisions as you're going to be looking at how to furnish that new place. Now, that's what I have to do right now. And again, if you are one of the persons who like to get things done and you have a to-do list and it just seems like it's not coming fast enough, that's where the patience comes in. So rest and patience together. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that again today. But as you go into the new place, I hope you're hearing me on this. Take some time to rest, because so many of us, as we have finished out this last year, and I'll be honest with you, last year was a tumultuous year, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things that even I did not understand as to why I had to go through them. And as I enter into this new year, 2024, I'm taking some time to rest so that I can recover, I can refresh. I am in a new place, but I need to take some time and some patience as I rest so that I don't jump up and keep going and miss out on the wonderful things that really God has planned for me, and even some of the things that, I need to reflect back on how I came over those different trials and different tests, even some stuff that I committed myself, self-inflicted injury, I'll say it that way. Yeah. So Bishop, I just with that, I have some more restrictions, but just want to kick off with that. Hopefully you are hearing where we're going to be at for this next series.
That's so helpful in Dr. Shepherd, especially as you are being transparent about your new place. And again, there may be some who can identify with that. And the importance of taking a moment once you crossed over to kind of rest and decompress and all of that. And I was thinking as you were sharing that sometimes in order to do that, we may have to, somewhat disconnect from some of the things that can kind of send our senses into overload. So even as we transitioned into a new year, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, a whole lot of social media scandal, a whole lot of YouTube interviews that have brought up a whole lot of conversation, about leaders. And so it's important that, a big part of what we've been discussing is that transitions will happen in life.
Yes.
What is important is that we develop healthy coping strategies to deal with those transitions. This is Spirit and Mind. We talk about current affairs with faith and mental health perspective. So I would be negligent if I didn't even notice that today we are, I don't want to date this broadcast, but we are sharing on January 6th, which represents a day in which certain factions of our nation did not handle a transition well. The transition, instead of embracing it, brought up a lot of stuff. And so transitions will happen, but that's a great example on this day of how we can mismanage or poorly cope with unwanted transitions or transitions that we perceive as undesirable. So I lift that only to say that transitions will happen. And it makes a difference whether we go into denial, whether we go into conspiratorial theories, whether we become irate about it, whether we have temper tantrums, whether we violate laws and principles and spiritual truths. Transitions will happen, but how we cope with them is essential to not only our wellness, but the wellness of others. I'll close even with going back to the Abrahamic verse that I read. It says, by faith, this is the part that gets me, Dr. Shepherd, he dwelt, which means he's living in the land of promise, but it still feels a little foreign. It's as in a foreign country. This is where I've worked and believed God and studied and practiced to get to this point in my career, in my studies, in my pursuits, in my family ventures. We are now in the house that we went through all the hoops to get. To be honest, you know how when you move in a house and it's yours and you celebrate it, but if you wake up in the middle of the night, first week, 2 or 3, it still feels a little strange. That's how Abraham is feeling, but that doesn't mean quit, though.
Right.
It means I'm learning to be able to get to the point where I can rest in the place that God promised me I would possess. And that takes a little minute sometimes by Abraham's story, but he says he did it as heirs with him of the same promise. So the Isaacs and the Jacobs need Abraham to settle in, because there are other people. When you've moved into a new place, you've also moved into new assignments.
Wow.
And new people for whom you are the agency, human agency of God's grace will manifest. And so Abraham isn't just moving for him, he's moving for Isaac and Jacob. He's got to learn how to rest in this new place, even as you and I do, because it's not just about us, because God never repositions us just for us. He always connects other people who need us to settle in.
Wow.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Bishop. Whoa, you took me in there for a minute. I tell you, you spoke to me. And let me just tell people, this connection is okay. Again, I'm being transparent. One of the things, Bishop, this year, as we go into a season of consecration, so many of the people go into consecration in January. And honestly, it's more than just January where we should be consecrating. Again, that's a whole different story. But for that particular, or for this particular year, the Lord's been impressing on me to disconnect even from social media, which I've never done before. And I mean, it was so heavy, even before some of the stuff even came out this past week and over the last weeks. It's like, Shepherd, you need to disconnect, because in the new place that you're in, you need to make sure that you can hear well, that all your senses are not overloaded and distracted. And so I appreciate what you also said, Bishop, about you can be in the land of promise. I know that the places that the Lord has sent me, I know that the places where I am right now, it is by his will, but it still feels foreign. It still feels a little out of sync. It still feels a little weird. And some of you are out there know exactly what I'm saying. And what we're sharing with you, that's okay. That's all right. But even in that, you don't give up the assignment that God has given for you. That is so interesting, Bishop. The analogy I have, it's really not an analogy, it's an example, it's a real life example. So again, for those who've been listening to us, you know I've talked about my aquarium that I have at home. And it's a wonderful aquarium, saltwater fish. And Bishop now has that aquarium for 3 years now, January 2021. And I had an interesting perspective on the aquarium over the last couple of weeks, because I've had some fish in there, believe it or not, for 2.5 years. They have survived for 2.5 years. I'm thankful. But one of the fish, a couple of them, they started to grow, and they have now outgrown the tank. I have a big tank, 175-gallon tank. If anybody out there knows measurements, you know that's a pretty good sized tank. But he's been eating. I've been feeding it well. I've been making sure that they have good care, almost like a child, Bishop, to be honest with you. And as the people who are the experts that came to do the maintenance on the tank, and they said, Shepherd, this fish has outgrown the tank. And I said, well, how did you know that this fish has outgrown the tank? And they said, we can look at the evidence in the water, because this fish is now exposing more nitrates than what is necessary, or more than necessary, that is allowed, I should say. The fish is now exposing more nitrates than what is necessary or what is allowed for growth to happen in that tank. So what am I saying? That fish, because it had been so healthy, I grew it up. I was making sure that it was fed and taken care of. It has done its purpose. But now it is outgrown the tank, and now it's putting out too much to where it's affecting the growth of everything else in the tank. And so this past week, Bishop, that's why I bring it up, we had to remove the fish. And I felt the time away. I said, like, wait a minute, I've had this fish for 2.5 years. I made sure it was good, grew it up, it matured, and did what it's supposed to do. But I understood that it needed to go to a different location So for its own good and for the good of my tank.
Mm.
I was like, whoa, that really helped me. Because at first I was like, I was bad. I was like, that's my fish. I purchased it, I grew it up. But now I understand that in order for it to continue to grow and expand, and for my tank to get back to its healthy place, it had to go. And I could tell you, Bishop, just even in 3 days, with that fish being gone, I can't believe I'm talking about a fish on Spirit in Mind. But in 3 days, I have seen the level of aggression be reduced in that tank just because that one fish is gone, just for the whole sake of the coral and the other fish that I have in there. I'm gonna stop right there. I took a little longer than what I expected, but Bishop, that example really spoke to me because now they're in a new place because that one fish is gone, and now the fish I had, the sailfin tank, anybody out there love fish, they know what I'm talking about. It's in a new place now, and it's loving its new home too.
Oh, this is good, Dr. Stephen. And it's the parable of the fish tank.
Yeah.
That's an area, again, we live in this intersection between theology and psychology. And that's one thing, and is common in those overlaps, is that what we're talking about is more than what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a metaphor here. We're talking about more than fish. Of course, even Jesus said, use fish to say, I will make you fishers of men. And so we're talking about more than what we're talking about. We're talking about moving and taking environments, outgrowing environments, and we're talking about the inextricable connection between release and increase. They are inextricably connected. Growth and loss are two sides of the same coin, if you will. And that's why Jesus said, except the seed go into the ground and die, it cannot bring forth much fruit. And so whenever we grow at the investment, or I was going to say expense, but I'll say we'll grow at the investment of release. And I want you to hear that, because financially that's a metaphor. There's a difference between cost and investment.
Yes, sir.
A bill is just paying for something that's already been expended, but an investment is a temporary release that brings a greater return.
Wow.
And so that's very important for us to know that we're investing in the new place. Yes, there have been some losses. Yes, there have been some releases. Yes, there have been some things we had to let go. But we're investing. And, if you have an investment account of any kind, 401, 403, any of those, IRA, you check it, because the expectation is they'll tell you, here's your estimated pattern of growth over time. So what you're sacrificing now is going to yield a return.
Yes.
And so in the meantime, you have to learn to rest it. You check it every day, you trigger your anxiety.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
But if you learn to rest in it and look at it over time, you'll see that it is on track, so that there is return for your investment. So you may be investing in a new place. I know we have our last couple minutes, but the return is coming, because if God puts you there, that's an investment, Dr. Shepard.
Wow. Thank you. And again, Bishop, I needed to hear that, because even as I was going into the new year, I had to make some decisions in my transitions for the year 2023. Some unexpected things happened. And the Lord told me, you're going to invest, even though it is a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. How am I sacrificing? Because I have to pay on a new apartment and a house at the same time. And if anybody out there knows, that's cash flow crunch, cash flow issue. But yet, I had a peace about what happened that was unexpected, because I know I'm investing in the place where I know I'm supposed to be at.
Yeah.
And so that's where our mindsets really have to be in line with the word. That's why we have to make sure we are healthy in our mindsets, because some of us will literally get through the transition, get to a new place, and then we'll actually kaboom, blow up, because our minds are not right. Some of us are still mad about how long it took for us to get to the new place. Some of us are still even upset. We're still triggered. I'm sure we'll talk about all those different things as we talk about living in a new place. But we want you to know today that you have to take some time to rest, take some time to reflect, and make sure you exercise your patience, and let's disconnect during this season of transition, consecration, so that we can be prepared to live well in that new place.
Absolutely. So listen, we thank you for spending this time with us on Spirit and Mind. And if these conversations are helping you, please feel free to share them with somebody and let them know that by the grace of God, we're here on Saturdays live in Praise 106 at this time. And by the grace of God, we look forward to seeing you and a friend next time on Spirit in Mind.